Thank you for introduction. So let me start my talk from a brief introduction to Gödel's consistency proof of piano arithmetic. First, in his 1933 paper, he gave a translation, which is called the negative translation of formal proofs of piano arithmetic into formal proofs of Heyting arithmetic. Then in his 1958 paper, he gave a translation of so-called dialectical interpretation of formal proofs of HA into formal proofs of his quantifier-free theory, T, in all finite types. Here, all finite types means, just defined as simple types. Types for natural numbers. Constructed from the types of natural numbers. And by these two steps, the consistency of piano arithmetic is finitistically reducible to the consistency of Gödel's T. So if one employs classical and intuitionistic arithmetic in all finite types, namely PA omega and H omega, here omega denotes the finite type variance. And Gödel's achievement can be mentioned as follows. First, the consistency of PA omega is finitistically reducible to consistency of H omega. Second, the consistency of H omega is finitistically reducible to the consistency of Gödel's T, right? So let me mention about the H omega. But first, let me introduce this extensional version of H omega. Actually, these are axioms and rules, and actually taken by Gödel's paper. Here, please note that the equality, we have only equality for natural numbers. And higher the equality, it's, higher order equality is defined extensionally like this. And this extensional axiom just says finite higher order functional preserves the higher order equality. Yeah, and there are combinators as usual. And actually, these are rules of EH omega. And please note that the terms of EH omega are the same as those of Gödel's T. Then H omega is obtained from EH omega by restricting the extensionality axiom appropriately. And EPA omega and PA omega are, obtained just by adding log x squared emitter. So in connection with constructivism, many kinds of realizability interpretation have been studied. In particular, Kreiser's modified realizability interpretation is a sort of direct formalization of the BHK notion of constructive proofs in the language of arithmetic in all finite types. So now we consider existential-free fragment EH omega EF of EH omega. Here, existential-free means do not contain existential quantifier and disjunction. And in fact, Gödel's T can be seen as a sub-theory of our EHA omega EF. So our theory is just in between T and EH omega. And EH omega EF is similar to Kreiser's existential-free theory, HANF omega, in his 1962 paper for the verification of the soundness of the modified realizability interpretation. On the other hand, our theory is consistent with classical logic, in contrast to that Kreiser's theory contains some continuity axiom, which is inconsistent with classical logic. So actually, the type structure and the language of EH omega EF are the same as those for EHA omega, except that EH omega EF has only conjunction, implication, and four quantifier as logical connectives. And the terms of EH omega EF are the same as those of EH omega, namely those for Gödel's T. And axioms and rules of EH omega consist of the axiom and rules of axioms and rules of EH omega EF consist of those of EH omega, which contain neither existential quantifier nor disjunction. Namely, we can simply drop all the axiom and rules which contains disjunction or existential quantifier like this. here the expansion and existential quantifier rules are omitted. So actually, this is a well-known Gödel-Gensen negative translation. And remark is that for any formula A, the negative translation of A is always existential free. And for the existential free formula A, negative translation of that is, equivalent to A itself. And my point is that if one considers, actually, this is a soundness theorem of negative translation, but actually, our system, EH omega EF, is enough for the verification of the soundness of the negative translation. So next, let me turn to the modified readability. Actually, it is a sort of intuitionistic semantics in the sense of BHK, or finite type arithmetic, and it can be seen as a variant of the dialectical interpretation. So actually, this is a definition of the modified readability in the, flavor of dialectical interpretation. This looks somewhat messy, but it's just defined. The modified readability interpretation of A states that there exists X such that X is a realizer of A. So, and the meaning of the realizer is just same as usual BHK interpretation. And here, A bar and X bar and Y bar are tuples of distinct variables, and W bar is a tuple of fresh variable whose lengths and types are determined by the logical structure of the formula in question. And actually, application is defined as usual. So actually, for each any formula A, if the modified readability interpretation of A is this one, then actually this part, X realized A, is existential free anymore. And if A is, already existential free, then its modified readability interpretation is A itself. And actually, this is a standard soundness or a modified readability. Here, AC is a functional existence axiom in all finite types, and IP is independence of premise principle for existential free premise. And my point is that verification theory, for the verification of this soundness, our existential free variant is enough for this. Actually, the extracted term is the same as, usual Gödel's teeth. So actually, both of the negative translation and the modified readability interpretation reduce the consistency of HA to that of EH omega EF. In addition, both of them do not change EH omega EF formulas anymore. Since EH omega EF is self-closed theory for the soundness of the modified readability interpretation, EH omega EF can be regarded as a constructive foundational base. On the other hand, T is a finitistic base in the extended sense, more or less. So from this perspective, one may argue that Gödel firstly showed in his 1933 paper the consistency of PA based on constructive foundation, and the second showed in his 1958 paper the same thing based on the finitistic foundation in an extended sense. So in the end of my talk, let me talk some extension of this investigation. Actually, in his post-humorous paper, Spector introduced the notion of bar recursion and extend Gödel's consistency proof of PA to that of classical analysis, PA plus ACNN. Sorry. This is just a functional existence principle from numbers to numbers. And actually, for the, his argument is as follows. By the negative translation, actually for the negative translation of ACNN, actually one need ACNN plus double nation shift principle for natural numbers. Actually, double nation shift principle is this one, which is, of course, classically valid, but improvable. And I mean, for the dialectical interpretation of DNS, he introduced this somewhat mysterious recursion, recursive definition of terms. So now we consider this new principle, NAC EF omega. Actually, this is basically the, negative translations of AC omega. Exist y is replaced by for not for y not, and this exist large y is replaced by not for y not, right? And this principle is actually existential free, and hence it's not changed anymore by the negative translation and the modified relatability interpretation. And the soundness theorem of modified relatability can be extended as follows. Actually, we add DNS omega here, and here we add NAC EF omega here. So the next thing is it is somewhat subtle point, but if one considers the modified relatability interpretation of MBI, which is the cleanest formalization of Brouwer's path theorem, then actually one can extract a term of the realizer, modified realizer of this one. But for actually verifiably in EH omega EF plus NAC EF NN plus bar recursion. Actually, this verification theory is consistent, but if you consider the NAC EF for little bit, for higher objects, then it becomes already inconsistent. Actually, this is same as bar recursion is consistent with its very weak variant of function existence principle. So as a conclusion, I would say our systems seems to be robust theories of neutral constructivism corresponding to these classical theories. So my question is, how is the relation between these theories and types theories? That is why I'd like to present this result in this types conference. So second one is how much, what amount of mathematics can be developed in this system? And third one is what can we say about the relation between the negative translation and the modified relatability interpretation in more general context, because this phenomenon seems to be more general. Yeah, that's all. Thank you for your attention.